Mike.
On the iPhone?
Yeah, you know.
Swipe down the green bar at the top. That should bring your call up, touch your call. Either that or hit your button at the bottom. I'm not sure on the iPhone. This is St. John who?
St. John Hudson. What the heck? Oh, there we go. This thing won't let me join. ATH LET.
All right, live stream should be up and running. Let's see.
7 views. Everybody on the live stream, I hope we're up and running. It's kind of been a rat race here.
It's going to be a lot of fun, live streamers. We're going to have a good time.
It's a long story, but to start with, we didn't have the rights to live stream in the first round game. I guess you can live stream, so we threw her together at the last minute. But Mike's got to do it here from the floor, so it may not be a very good view. As we get set, there's about 3:50 until tip-off. Marissa, where are we at on before we go on the radio? What's that? 1 minute. Okay.
All right. I should be up and ready. I don't know if I'll be able to hear myself. Okay.
I need to
We're
get your mic close because
All right. We're going to do our best. Live streamers, hang on.
I'm going to try to keep that mic volume down.
All right.
It's still pegging out. Check 1, 2, 3. Dan Bitt alongside Mike McCracken. Is that still okay, Marissa? He just got it up and running.
It's just up and running.
Says
We'll
it's hooked.
see. Yeah. It says 19 viewers.
Should say St. John Hudson beside it. Can you still hear us good on the mic? Okay. Okay. You know the mascot?
Tigers.
Tigers. Well, welcome everybody to Hays, Kansas, and the state finals, 1A Division I, where St. Paul in their opening round game getting set for tip-off here. Dan Bitt alongside Mike McCracken trying to throw things together here at the last minute. Hopefully, if you haven't heard, we are going to be live streaming this game. It may not be the best view in the world, but we're going to give it our best as we're awful close to the floor, and Mike's going to have to try to multitask. We're going to see how good he is as each team finish their warm-ups here as St. Paul comes in as a number 2 seed. St. John Hudson comes in as a 7 seed, but don't let that fool you any with the 6 losses they have, because 4 of those 6 losses are against undefeated teams. So we look for a very good St. John Hudson team here as we get set for the St. Paul. St. Paul made their way here by a dominating performance in Sub-State, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game to watch. It's been a fun game to get ready for, not only for the girls but for us too, as we've been trying to make sure we've got our live stream up and running as best we can. So those of you joining us on the internet, good luck with that. I hope we can stick with you and you can stick with us. We can get this thing so you can see it. Those of us joining us on the radio, I think you'll be in for a show too, because there's going to be a lot of excitement. We're sitting here courtside at Hays, Kansas, here at the basketball arena at Fort Hays State, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, for all of us.
As we get set for tip-off here in about less than a minute as they get set to go over starting lineups, you're listening to the Ritchie's Pharmacy pregame show. As I said, Dan Vitt alongside Mike McCracken. Title sponsor is Farmers Bank of Kansas for our game. Our tip-off sponsor will be brought to you by Styles Fitness and more. Every timeout's brought to you by St. Paul Market. Our post-game show will be brought to you by KW Trucking, and our D-Rail Commodity Player of the Game rounds up our sponsors. Our live stream, well, be real honest with you, we're not real sure who's sponsoring that yet because it got through together at the last second. But so how it works on the live stream is everybody was trying to get on that Acacia website, and we didn't know it because we thought the rights to the live stream was sold. But the people who have the rights to live stream only have the semifinal and the finals. So the first round game and the third place game, if you make it to either, obviously the first round game or here, but if you make it to the third place game, that's wide open for regular local radio stations to live stream. So we was able to find that out in the last hour or two today, and we should be up and running on hot1055.net. Click on the St. Paul Indian banner, and it should take you right to the live stream. So hopefully we're up and running on that. It says we got quite a few viewers, so I hope they're picking us up. It may not be the best view in the world with courtside camera and Mike having to run it, but we'll sure have the audio on you for you people that are a long ways from home and can't pick up 105.5. You can get on the internet and pick up the audio and now the live stream, so should be good to go there.
It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. I think we're set, though, Dan.
As we get set for tip-off here, and I think they're going to go over the whole roster for each team and then finish with the starters here, and we look forward to a good game here tonight.
Yeah, it'll be a fun game to watch. Now, you get in here to the state tournament, all these teams, just about have to throw records out the window. The seeding, takes place after the end of the season, and so everyone's always looking at the bracket to see where they fall and how they're going to match up by records and things like that. But when it gets to the state tournament, it's been proven in the past that it doesn't mean a lot what your record was during the season. It's all about what you can do when you show up and get out here on the court.
Yeah, you just don't know what the opponents was, how tough their league was, and St. John's league and opponents was awful tough on their lost side. So we'll see if the Indians, what they can do. They've been playing well down the stretch. Caitlin O'Brien had the wonderful honor of scoring her 1,000th point at home in the last sub-state game, Mike. That was quite exciting for her. Done it in the last 30 seconds of the ball game.
Yeah, she just about ran out of time in the season, but she got it done right there at the end, and then the running clock didn't help any. It was big up in the air question whether or not she was going to get a chance at that last shot, but she got it done right at the end, and it was really exciting for Caitlin, her whole family, and the whole school. Brendan Doherty on the boys' side had the 1,000 mark as well, so big night last week in St. Paul.
I know the girls are excited about being here, and they look to try to step their way through this first round game. St. John Hudson is their opponent. St. Paul comes in at 21-2, and St. John Hudson comes in with 17-6 record. As I said, 3 of their losses was to I think Coldwater is the top seed in Division, or 1A Division 1. So, and they're a very, very good team. If you ever look at scores much, number 3 for St. John Hudson gets a start. Bree Meyer, a 5'7" sophomore for St. Paul. The sophomore Taylor Wuttrick playing great defense of late gets a start for the Indians. For St. John Hudson, number 10, Jackie Rios, a 5'2" junior for St. Paul. Sydney McCracken, the junior, gets the start. Number 11 for St. John Hudson, Tori Fisher, a senior, 5'5" senior, gets the start for St. John Hudson. Sydney Rice, one of the big senior leaders, look for her defense to be key here tonight. Get some steals as she comes out firing here tonight. Number 21, Paige Dorian, a 5'7" junior, gets start for St. John Hudson, and the Miss 1,000, Caitlin O'Brien, the senior, gets a start for the Indians. And last but not least, Tara Nelson, one of the big leaders. She is one of the scorers, inside, outside, got some good size to her. Mike listed at 5'9", but she's not scared to step outside and shoot the 3.
Yeah, Nelson's going to be a handful both inside and outside, and she's shown that throughout the season, and she'll be one of the leading scorers, I'm sure, as we go through the game and watch what St. John throws out here. Early on, I think it's going to be important for St. Paul ladies to set the pace and set up and run their defense, run their offense and their defense as they know they can. Don't let anything get in their way. Just run and play their game, and don't let anything set them off or get them off their original game plan.
As we get set for the Styles fitness and more. Tip off to the game, 8 minutes on the clock. Each team huddles around their coach for last minute instructions. Coach Doug Tuck for the Indians and Coach Danny Smith for St. John's. Both very good, well-noted coaches with a lot of success, a lot of tradition. St. Paul been here for the last 5 years, or this is their 4th trip in the last 5 years, so experience shouldn't be a problem here for the Indians. Caitlin O'Brien sets a tip off against Nelson, and we are underway, and O'Brien controls the tip for the Indians. Rice at the point guard position. St. John comes out in a zone defense. Looks like a 3-2 zone defense. To the corner to Rice, left guard, back up top to McCracken. McCracken holds the ball at the point guard position, over to O'Brien. She stands outside the three-point line, back to McCracken, up top to Rice. Indians been very patient here on offense. Back over to O'Brien, sets her feet, three-point shot. Long, no good. Rebound, St. John Hudson. That is Meyer with the basketball. She loses it. Feed ahead to Watrick on a steal from McCracken. So the Indians right back down with the basketball. Rice at right wing with the basketball. She waves O'Brien down low. Now over to Winter. Now inside to Rice. She gets tied up, and it's going to be a jump ball possession, and that'll go to St. John's.
Yeah, it's going to play tough inside there. You're going to have to keep your hands and make sure you got a hold of the ball. Try to get up above your head to avoid that jump situation.
Fisher with the basketball for St. John Hudson. Dribbles down against Rice. Man-to-man defense applied by the Indians. Backdoor cut. Ball almost lost, then saved inbounds to number 10, Rios. Now back up top to Nelson. Nelson hands off to Fisher. Fisher holds the ball over her head. Back to the right wing to Rios. Bounce pass inside to Nelson. Winter cuts her off the baseline, and that's going to be a foul on McCracken. Number 12, her first, team foul number 1 on the Indians as she come down and tried to help Winter on Nelson.
Yeah, Sydney came down, tried to give some help, and ended up on the floor. Short into that foul, got the foul called on her, ended up dumped on the floor.
Number 11, Fisher, looks to inbounds it, gets it in to number 21. Shot on the way, no good, but she's fouled. That is Dorian, and that's going to be on Sydney Rice, her first, team foul number 2 on the Indians. Dorian settles into free throw line. First 2 free throws of the game by either team. It's on its way and off, no good. As Dorian, age 5'7" junior. Dorian settles into the line for the second. It's on its way and long, no good. McCracken with the rebound for the Indians. Bounce pass ahead to Watrick. 6:26 left to go here in the first. No score. Rice, right wing, or top of the key, over to McCracken. Now back up top to O'Brien. Now back over to Rice. Rice looks inside. Now dribbles the baseline, behind the back dribble. Back out top. Now she's tied up a little bit, looking. Cross-court pass over to McCracken. Three-point shot by her. Off the rim, no good. Rebound, St. John's. That is Fisher with the rebound. She drives towards the baseline, cut off by O'Brien. And she goes right out of bounds. It's going to be a turnover against her as she initiated the contact against O'Brien. No call. Goes back to St. Paul. No score in the game. 5:55 left to go here in the first. St. Paul, 2 good looks at threes, but couldn't get either one of them to fall. Rice over to Watrick at right wing. Looks in at Winter. Now goes back up top to Rice. Now over to Watrick. Feed inside to O'Brien, and there's going to be a foul on St. John Hudson. Their first of the game, and that foul is going to be on number 21. Doran, excuse me. Watrick underneath the basket, feeds it into McCracken. Sets her feet, another three-pointer by McCracken. Nope. In and out, no good. Watrick with the rebound. Watrick dribbles back out the top of the key. Good offensive rebound by her. Kicks it out to McCracken. Cross-court pass over to Winter. Now inside to O'Brien. Double teamed in there. It's going to be stripped away. Watrick on the floor after it. Now St. John's comes out there with it. Rios with the basketball for St. John Hudson. She feeds it to Nelson, who hands off to number 3, Meyer. Meyer right wing over to Fisher. Feed inside to Nelson. In the block. Shot up. No good. Rebound Winter. Feed out to O'Brien. Still no score in the game. 5 minutes left to go in the first. O'Brien dribbles past the first. Cross-court pass out to Watrick. And Watrick is going to call for a carry. So another turnovers. Each team sputtering here on offense.
Yeah, teams need to get settled down here.
Hutcherson and Katie Coombs check into the ball game for the Indians.
apologize for the jerky camera work. Those of you watching on the live stream, we're doing our best to do it here courtside.
Comes down with the basketball. Watrick all over her. She hands off to Fisher. Now Nelson with the basketball at right wing. Nelson dribbles to her left, hands back off to Meyer. Meyer guarded by Watrick. Screen set, and that's going to be a foul on Watrick. Her first, team foul number 3 on the Indians early on in this ball game.
Halfway through the first quarter, neither team's been able to put any points on the board.
Meyer with the basketball. Feeds it down to the baseline. I think it's Fisher over there with it. Looks in at Nelson. Now she dribbles to her right. Now back up top to Meyer. 4:25 left to go here in the first. Hutcherson all over Rios. Rios to the top of the key. Now drives towards the lane. Kicks it back out to Fisher. Fisher into the lane. Layup on its way. No good. Rebound Rice. Rice dribbles out there with it and loses it right out of bounds. And it's turnover on her. Goes right back to St. John Hudson. 4:09 left to go in the first. No score in the ball game. Meyer with the basketball. Feeds it up top to Rios. Hands it back to Meyer. Off right wing to Fisher. Fisher at the ball fake inside, looking at Nelson. The winner doing or Coombs on her now. Now back over here. Now feed inside to Nelson. She spins. She kicks it back out top to Myers. Myers against Watrick. Drives towards the baseline. Katie Coombs steps in, cuts her off. Kick back up top to Nelson. Nelson hands it back off to Myers. 3:32 left to go in the first quarter. No score in the game. Myers kicks it off the right wing. Rice misses the steal. Now kick up top, shot from the free throw line's good by number 21, Doran. So St. John breaks the drought of scoring with 3:17 left to go here in the first. 2-0, St. John leads. O'Brien, right wing with the basketball. This packed in zone. The Indians are going to have to hit shots. Good cut and good layup by Sydney Rice. Hutcherson to Rice. Cut that zone, so it's 2-2. Fisher with the basketball. Rice picks her up. She dribbles back up to the top of the key. Kicks it off to the left wing to Rios. Subs at the table for the Indians. No subs yet for St. John's. Rios, right wing over to Myers. She drives the baseline, pushes off, and it's a charge. Good defense by Taylor Watrick.
That was.
2-2 is the score. 2:42 left to go here in the first as Winter and McCracken check in for Rice and O'Brien, giving them an early break here early on in this ball game.
Good ball game so far, Dan. Defensive battle.
Watrick with the basketball. Now sub comes to the table for St. John's. First sub of the game for them. Indians with their typical 2 in, 2 out about halfway through the first quarter. So Coach Tuck not changing a thing with the rotation, with the occasional Katie Carter thrown in that mix. Watrick over to Hutcherson, sets her feet. 3-point shot on the way. In and out, no good, just off. Winter with the rebound. She's in traffic, and now they're going to call a jump ball, and it's going to be back to the Indians as number 5 checks in Chrisman, the 5'8" sophomore for St. John's. Watrick with the basketball, feeds it into Hutcherson. Watrick, 3-point shot, long, no good. Fought for and brought down by Rios. Indians 0 for 4 from 3-point lane to start this game. Fisher, steal by Hutcherson. Good job by her, getting in front of Fisher, steal that. Hutcherson pushes the ball up the floor, drives towards the baseline, kicks it out to Watrick. Cross-court pass over to Winter, looks in at Coombs, now goes back up top to Watrick. Watrick over to Hutcherson, down in the corner. St. Paul's going to have to hit some shots from the outside, Mike.
Yeah, that's what they're going to have to do against this zone for sure.
Packed in zone. Now Hutcherson drives the baseline. Nice drive by her, and it's going to be a block on St. John's.
Oh, that's.
And it's going to be on the floor, so it'll still be St. Paul's basketball under their own rim, and that's going to be on number
Doran.
21.
It's good news for St. Paul. That's her second foul, Doran's.
Second foul, team foul number 3 or 4, Mike, on St. John's.
3 is what I've got him at. Yeah.
So second foul on her as Doran has to come in, who just checked in as Myers checked right back in. So early on, it appears like St. John just a 6-man rotation. Kick out top to to O'Brien, and that's going to be a backcourt as she touched it, and then it went backcourt. So backcourt violation on the Indians. Score remains tied at 2. 1:35 left to go in the first. So everybody trying to find their way here in this ball game. St. Paul having to shoot from the outside and early on are 0 for 4 from three-point land. Rios drives around to the elbow, backdoor cut. About now into Nelson, shot on the way, no good. She gets her own rebound. She's in traffic. And in and out, no good. And that's going to be over the back on Emily Winter as Nelson working hard down underneath.
Nelson working hard, but she gave a couple elbows. The referee's looking right in there, but called the foul on Emily Winter instead.
No call on the charge on the elbow by Nelson. Kick outside to Nelson. She's up above the free throw line, guarded by Coombs. Hands off to Myers, now over to Rios. Back up top, three-point shot. Short, way short, and out of bounds, and that shot put up by Nelson.
That's an example there. Nelson underneath and then backing outside and launching that three.
O'Brien feeds it back to Rice, 2-2. 1:02 left to go here in the first. There's almost a travel by Rice. Now O'Brien with it, feeds it up to Winter. Now over to McCracken. Cross-court pass over to Coombs. Feed inside, tough pass into that zone defense, trying to feed it into O'Brien, and it goes out of bounds, and another turnover on the Indians with 45.7 seconds left to go here in the first.
You know, against that zone, they can't throw those passes in there easy. They're going to have to go in there with some authority and some zip on them.
Fisher with the basketball for St. John's. 36 seconds left to go here in the first. Off to Nelson. Nelson tries to hand it off to Fisher, almost poked away. Now Nelson comes back with it. Now feed up top to number 5, Chrisman, and it's going to be a travel on her, and another turnover gives it back to Indians with 23.3 seconds left to go here in the first. We are tied at 2, Mike.
Yeah, that's pretty unusual.
Indians just with 5 or 6 shots offensively. Way too many turnovers to start this game. See if they can settle in here. 15 seconds left to go here in the first. Winter with the basketball, 12 seconds, 10 seconds. Now off to O'Brien, three-point shot by her. Left wing, off the rim, no good. Rebound, St. John Hudson's, 5 seconds. Fisher with the basketball, crosses half court. Shot at the buzzer, no good. And at the end of the first quarter, 2-2 is the score. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout. You're listening to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Welcome back. Dan Vitt alongside Mike McCracken out at Hayes, Kansas at the tournament here. After the first quarter, score is tied 2-2. Cold shooting by the Indians from the outside against that 3-2 zone defense is causing them trouble. We'll see if the Indians can settle in here in the second quarter, Mike.
Yeah, that's really what the difference is, just the cold shooting. They're getting some shots from outside, and they're good looks, and they're coming in there close, just not going through the basket. If they can warm up from outside, they're going to have some success, but 2-2 tie here at the end of the first quarter shows that both teams are really playing hard on defense.
It'll be St. John's basketball to start this second quarter. That timeout brought to you by St. Paul Supermarket. Tip off to the second quarter brought to you by Styles Fitness and More. Myers with the basketball, guard out there by Watrick. Feeds it off to Fisher. Off to right ring to Rios. Pass inside. Myers comes down with it. Shot, no good. O'Brien with the rebound for the Indians. Feeds it ahead to Watrick. Watrick back to Rice. Now back to O'Brien. Up top to Watrick. Cross-court pass over to Hutcherson. Now down to the corner to O'Brien. Looks inside. Hutcherson with the basketball at the left guard position. Feeds it over to Rice. Back up top to Winter. 7 minutes left to go here before halftime. 2-2 is our score. Watrick sets her feet, passes on the three. They're leaving them wide open for it.
Yeah, it's there.
That's Taylor's spot. Now into O'Brien. Couple ball fakes. Shot up. No good. Winter with the offensive board. Fights for it. Dribbles back. Put back. No good. She fights it, tears it out there again, feeds it out to Watrick. Baseline shot on its way, no good. Rebound St. John's. Rios.
Indians are having real trouble.
They just need to settle in here, not be worried about missing so many shots. Shooters shoot the ball. Rios over to Myers. Myers feeds it off to Fisher at left wing. Feed inside, and that's going to be a foul on Winter from behind. That's a tough call, as it was a high pass as Coombs comes right back to scores table for the Indians. Is that Emily's second or first? Team foul number 4 on the
Emily's
Indians.
second.
Second foul on Winter here at the 6:33 mark. Backdoor pass. Good, thank goodness. Rice kicked it because Nelson was coming open in the back door as number 5 checks to the scorers table. Chrisman, the 5'8" sophomore. Fisher with the basketball. Here comes a backdoor cut again. No good there. Gets it into Myers. Watrick almost with a steal. Myers guarded by Watrick up top. As the count is on now, Myers picks up her dribble. Now feeds it back to Fisher. Now she hands it back to Myers. Off to right wing to Chrisman. Chrisman looks inside now to free throw line. Now pass inside to Nelson. Nelson's going to be fouled and go to the line. Shoot 2. Coombs on the defense. No, it's going to be on Rice. That's her second.
Yep. Nelson really aggressive inside.
McCracken comes to the scores table for the Indians. She's going to have to come in for Rice, who's just picked up her second foul. So now Rice and Winter both with 2 fouls each. Nelson makes her first free throw. As Sydney has to come take a seat at 6:10 mark here in the second. Nelson settles in. Second shot on its way and good. 4-2. St. John leads by 2 with 6 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Watrick with the basketball. Over to McCracken at right wing. Back up top to Hutcherson. Hutcherson looks in. Now over to Watrick as Coombs tries to post up. Back up top to McCracken. Cross court pass over to O'Brien. Almost stolen. Chrisman with a hand in there. Now O'Brien towards the free throw line. Kicks it off to Hutcherson. Now down to the corner to McCracken. McCracken guarded closer. Drives the baseline. Kicks it out to Coombs. Now pass inside to O'Brien. O'Brien guarded by Nelson. Puts it up and in.
Good tough shot
Good
by Katie.
Tough shot
Caitlin
by
O'Brien.
Caitlin O'Brien. Ties the score at 4. Myers with the basketball down to the corner. Drives the baseline. I believe it's Rios. Shot short. No good. O'Brien with the rebound. Feeds it back to Hutcherson.
That was
It was
Fisher,
Fisher
I think,
with
on
the
the
shot. Yes, it was. Feeds it back to O'Brien. 5:15 left to go here in the second quarter. Tied at 4, so a low-scoring game. Lob inside to Coombs. Coombs in traffic, loses it, kicks it out to Hutcherson. Sets her feet, 3-point shot. Good!
That's what they need, a little spark.
Emily Hutcherson buries a 3 from the top of the key with 4:55 left to go in the second. Give the Indians a 3-point lead. Myers with the basketball against Watrick. Hands it off to Fisher. Hutcherson picks her up as they run the weave. Now out to Nelson. Nelson wide open, 3-point shot. Good.
Can't leave Nelson alone like that.
As Nelson hits from the outside, ties the score at 7. Feed off to McCracken, and now up top to O'Brien, now over to Coombs. That really sagging in that 3-2 zone, Mike. Indians with a lot of opportunities from the outside. Finally got one to go with Emily Hutcherson, the last possession. McCracken up top. They're not making St. John's. It's a spread out 3-2 zone. They're not making them work very much. Look for a little penetration at some point in this game by an Indian guard.
Need to get that cutter in the middle when they're stretching them out like that.
O'Brien, shot from the elbow. Good. Good job, Caitlin O'Brien. 9-7, Indians up by 2. 3:55 left to go here in the second. Myers off to Fisher, guarded by Hutcherson. Gets around her. Into the lane she goes, all the way to the basket. Layup good. As number 21, Doran. 9-9 is the score. 3:31 left to go here in the second quarter. Off to O'Brien at right wing. Up to Hutcherson. Now feed into O'Brien. Loses the ball. A lot of contact. No call made. Back to McCracken, now back to O'Brien at the baseline. Now inside to McCracken, gets it poked away, and it's going to be a foul, but who's it on? It's going to be on Sydney McCracken.
I don't know, okay. That's Sydney's second foul.
That's a 7th-team foul. That's going to send St. John's to the line, shoot to 1-1. Team fouls are 7-3 in favor of St. John's to start this ball game. So all of a sudden, 3 Indians with 2 fouls each. McCracken, Rice, and Winter, as here comes Katie Carter to the scorers table for the Indians. And that's going to send Chrisman to the line to shoot front end 1-1. She's going to come in for Sydney McCracken. So the young freshman going to log some minutes here at the state tournament. Chrisman's first shot on its way. No good. Rebound, Rios. Goes back to the basket. No good. Coombs with the rebound. Feeds it ahead to Hutcherson. Hutcherson with the ball fake. Drives the baseline. Kicks it back out to Katie Coombs. Now back over to Hutcherson. Now back to Coombs. Now over to the corner to Carter. Sets her feet. 3-point shot. Good! The young freshman steps into the game and buries a 3. 12-9. Indians up by 3. Myers with the basketball, guarded by Watrick. Feeds it off to Fisher at right wing. Looks inside at Nelson. Coombs on her. Feed back up top to Myers. Now into Nelson. Into the double team. Stripped away by Hutcherson. And Hutcherson going to call for the travel. She tries to set her feet. Indians can't get a foul call. 7-3 in favor of St. John's Hudson. St. John Hudson basketball under their own rim. Hutcherson with a tough steal. Probably should have just pulled up. Reset. Here comes the inbounds play. Inside. Back out to Fisher. Tries to drive the baseline. She's buried underneath. Feet up top to Nelson.
Good defense by Coombs underneath.
Now Rios with the basketball. Over to Myers. Feed inside to Nelson. Ball fake against Coombs. Shot up. No good. Rebound Katie Coombs. Feed ahead to Wadrick. 2:09 left to go here in the first half. 12-9. Indians up by 3. Bad pass by Hutcherson from the top of the key, and yet another turnover on the Indians. And both coaches decided they want a timeout at the same time. We'll be back after this 1-minute timeout. You're with St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Welcome back. That timeout brought to you by St. Paul's Supermarket. Almost said St. John Hudson. 12-9. Indians up by 3.
Well, they called it, I guess.
Sluggish start for the Indians, but they have the lead in this game so far with 1:55 left to go in the second quarter. That 3-2 zone really causing the Indians fit. Fisher, 3-point shot by her, short, no good. Caitlin O'Brien, there's a foul finally on St. John Hudson. That's going to be on Rios. That's just team foul number 4 on St. John Hudson. They can ill afford getting foul trouble less than the Indians, Mike, because they only have a 6-man rotation. I can see why they play that 3-2 zone and try not to move very much to conserve energy.
Yeah. You know, the answer to that is try and get some penetration and drive, make them step in front of you.
Coach Tuck was wanting a timeout at the same time, and we're right here by the huddle. Was not happy with the offensive ball movement and the reverse ball reversals, what he was asking for against his zone. Coombs with the basketball at right wing. St. Paul basketball with 1:24 left to go here in the second quarter. Carter at right wing with the basketball. Dribbles to the left. Now picks up her dribble, feeds it back to Watrick. Now over to Hutcherson. Hutcherson down to baseline. Watrick with the basketball at right wing. Tries to feed it inside. Steal by Nelson. The Indians try to bang it into that zone and are having no luck at all at it. Nelson with the basketball hands it off to Fisher. 49 seconds left to go before half. 12-9, Indians up by 3. Off to Myers. She drives towards the elbow, kicks it out to Rios. Rios guarded by Carter. Chrisman with a screen. Now backdoor cut by Fisher. Inside Nelson. Poked away by Hutcherson. Good foul by her because Nelson was open on the back door.
Yeah, Nelson was right there ready for the backside block basket. Emily Hutch able to get in her way.
Fisher set to put the ball in play under their own basket. St. John's basketball. She looks, counts on. Now she finally gets it into Chrisman with 30 seconds left. Now back up top to Myers. St. Paul in their typical man-to-man defense. Myers with the basketball, 22 seconds. Feeds it off to Chrisman at right wing. She looks down, make sure she don't step out of bounds. Now outside to Rios. 12 seconds left to go before halftime. Stick around for St. Paul Tire Loop halftime. Shoot, ball's loose. Hutcherson comes out there with it. 6 seconds, plenty of time. O'Brien with the basketball. Drives into the lane. That's a flop. It better be a block, and it is a block. And that's going to send O'Brien to the line to shoot 2.
That's going to be on Fisher, I believe, isn't it?
Excuse me for being so judgmental. Did they call it on the floor? No, O'Brien's going to the line to shoot 2. But
it's on Rios. Well, that's her second as well.
Boy, that was on 11 for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was on 11. I think he got the number wrong, but
I think he did too.
Give it to Rios.
See, he's asking too. Rios with the second foul. It should have been on number 11 because she's the one that stepped in.
Yeah. Pick the number. Maybe he'll change his mind. He's going to change it here.
Because it is right. It was on number 11. And that's a 15 foul as O'Brien made her first free throw. So that foul was on number 11, not 10. So let's see what that is on Fisher. Is that just her first, Mike?
Fisher, yes, that'd be her
That's
first.
why the coach was pleading for Rios not to have 2 fouls, so just her first. O'Brien, second shot, rattles in home. Good. So the Indians lead. It should be, 14 to 9.
Yep.
And shot at the buzzer is no good. Halftime score, Indians lead 14 to 9 here at halftime. We'll be back after this 2-minute timeout. You listen to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Hey, Marissa. Hey, I'm going to hang up and call you back, okay? So play an extra minute if you have to, okay?
Live streamers, I apologize. I missed those last 2 free throws by Caitlin O'Brien. I was trying to get my fouls right on the stats and didn't get the camera turned. So anyway, we'll get it better in the second half. But overall, here we are at halftime. Important thing is St. Paul got a 14-9 lead. Not much of a score. But still fun to watch. Good game here, Dan.
Yeah, nice game here as I'm trying to get hooked to the internet here, Mike. I can't get his stats. I don't know. He didn't send them or something.
I'll do my best with what I got.
Now you're good. All right, we're ready. Welcome back. That timeout brought to you by St. Paul Supermarket. This halftime show brought to you by St. Paul Tire and Lube. 8:16 left to go for the third quarter starts. St. Paul leads 14-9. A very sluggish offensive ball game so far by either team, Mike.
Yeah, it's been pretty sluggish, and you want to say it's a defensive battle, which really it is, but that zone defense that St. John is running, not a lot of excitement down there by that defense, but it's pretty effective holding this high-powered St. Paul offense to only 14 points. But the real reason I think that is, Dan, is because they haven't been able to make that three-point shot fall. They've only been 2 for 8 in the first half from outside the three-point line, so really cold shooting. If that warms up in the second half, St. John's going to have to do something different besides that sagging zone that they've been running, and they're going to have to shut them down outside. So it'll be up to St. Paul to try and heat that up and draw them out so they can work inside them with Katie Coombs and Caitlin O'Brien.
7:26 left to go at halftime, and we come back for this next 2-minute timeout. Mike will have all the first half stats. Mike, you got a maid to come by and hand us all the stat sheets.
We got to come to state more often. They hand me the stats. So they didn't have to sit here and work for it.
Hey, we'll be back after this 2-minute timeout. You're listening to St. Paul Basketball on Hot 105. There's somebody in there after us, too.
You hear? All right, short post game.
If the camera's a little slow, that's Mike's fault.
I'm hearing about it, too.
We usually have our number one man, Dalton, running the live stream for us, but Keisha wouldn't allow us to have him down here, so we're having to multitask. We're just making do best we can, folks.
Hey, but the good news is
you're lucky we're live streaming.
They brought me a stat sheet. I'm going to work on my camera work here in the second half.
Mike's getting ready to have stats when we come back, but just so everybody on the live stream knows, the Indians shot 14% in the first quarter, 57% in the second quarter. That was a bright spot. They were 0 for 6 from three-point land in the first quarter and 2 for 2 in the second quarter. So hopefully that's a good sign for the Indians moving ahead here, Mike, settling in.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch here in the second half, see if they can come out of here and make some adjustments. And I think it's an entirely winnable game for them if they can put a few things together here.
No, Kissington girl. Look how tall she is.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome to the St. Paul Tire and Lube halftime show. That timeout brought to you by St. Paul Market. Everybody at home, we are live streaming the ball game, so if you're not listening to 105.5, you can get on hot1055.net, hit on the St. Paul Indian logo, and you should be able to pick up the live stream from there. It will be the St. John Hudson. It should say live stream in progress. Mike, what do you got for first half stats?
Yeah, as we look down here for St. Paul, Dan, Caitlin O'Brien, 14-2, or 14-9 rather, as the halftime score. So there's not going to be a lot of stat work to be done here for the first half as the low-scoring game. But the scoring that did happen for St. Paul, led by Caitlin O'Brien, was 6. Emily Hutcherson and Katie Carter both had 3 points for St. Paul. Both of those were three-point shots. And number 15, Sydney Rice, had 2 points for St. Paul. That's the extent of the scoring for St. Paul. As far as minutes played, though, that's something we haven't been able to report very well, but they're reporting out here. It's kind of interesting to look down and see. Caitlin O'Brien had the most time in the first half, played 15 minutes, but Taylor Watrick had 14. Katie Coombs played 12 minutes, and Emily Hutcherson played 11. So those girls are spending the most time on the floor, and that's where most of their production on scoring is also coming from. St. Paul was 2 of 8 from outside the three-point line, 5 of 14 total on their field goals. For free throws, though, they were perfect, 2 for 2. On the other side of the bracket for St. John Hudson, they were led in scoring by Tara Nelson, number 33, who we talked about before the game was going to be their primary scoring threat. She had 5 points. Also, Paige Doran and Tori Fisher had 2 for the Lady Tigers. So pretty good first half defensively by both teams. Offensively, not so much maybe by St. Paul. They only shot 57%. I take that back, 35% from the game, 25% from outside the three-point line, but they were perfect from the free throws.
Yeah, overall, St. John Hudson, this is a test to the Indians' defense, but St. John Hudson shooting 23% for the game. As Mike alluded to, the minutes, Winter, McCracken, and Rice all stand about 8-9 minutes, but that's because they picked up 2 fouls there in that second quarter, so they spent a lot of time on the bench. Note, playing all 16 minutes is Fisher and Nelson so far for St. John Hudson, so just a 6-person rotation. We'll see if that comes into effect here in the second half, Mike.
Yeah, and that's what you look down there at the fouls. Emily Winter has 2, Sydney Rice with 2, Sydney McCracken with 2, Taylor Watrick with 1. The good news, Caitlin O'Brien has 0, and so does Katie Coombs with no fouls for St. Paul. The only one with more than 1 foul for St. John is Paige Doran, I should say. She's got 2. Everyone else just 1 foul, so they've been really playing careful, but that'll change here if they can start opening things up from outside.
About 2 minutes left for the second half tip. Our Styles Fitness More tip off in the second half. We'll be back after this last 1-minute timeout. You're listening to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. And we're set for the tip-off to the second half, brought to you by Styles Fitness and More. 14-9, Indians up by 5 here at halftime. Boy, I'll tell you one thing, Mike. I don't have no trouble playing the heat bill here at Fort Hays State. It is warm in this place.
Yes, it is.
Watrick with the basketball to start the third quarter here.
All those windmills.
Kicks it off to Rice at left wing. Rice in the game with 2 fouls, as well as 3-point shot by Watrick off the rim, no good. Winner not getting Hutcherson getting a start over Winter, who has 2 fouls. So Rice with the double team out on Fisher. Tries to poke it away. Now it's going to be a reach foul on Hutcherson. On Nelson. First team foul of the second half on the Indians. Just underway here in the second. Myers with the basketball for St. John's. Up top to Rios. Back to Myers. Guarded by Watrick and a man-to-man. Myers kicks it to Rios at left wing. Shot on the way by number 21, Doran, no good. Rebound, Katie Coombs. Bounce pass over to Watrick, almost stolen by Rios. Have to be careful here, cut down on the turnovers here. The St. Paul finally started warming up a little bit in that second quarter. Shot way better, so hopefully they can settle in here. Back to Watrick, right guard. Dribbles down, leave her wide open. Now she drives the baseline, cross-court pass to Hutcherson. Ball fake, drives in towards the elbow, spins away, feeds it back to Watrick, now to Rice. Rice into the lane, tries to split a couple, and it's going to be out of bounds and go back to St. John's. Nelson feeds it to Fisher. Fisher brings the ball down, 6:40 left to go here in the third. Hutcherson, Watrick, O'Brien, Rice, and Coombs on the floor for the Indians. Now a steal by the Indians. Hutcherson with the basketball. Feeds it clear out of bounds. About takes Mike out of his chair.
Boy, it's a good thing I got quick cat-like reflexes. Right, I took one right in the chin.
Ball come right to the camera. Terrible pass by the Indians. So another turnover on the Indians. Feedback into Fisher. Indians has got to get over that turnover bug. They just do not look comfortable. No pressure bringing the ball down. Hutcherson just threw it way over the head of Rice. Bounce pass to Nelson. Nelson guarded out front. Three-point shot on the way. Way off. No good. Rebound, Hutcherson. This time she slows down and feeds it back to Watrick. 6 minutes left to go in the third. 14-9. Indians up by 5. Off to Rice at right wing. Feed back to Hutcherson. Over to Coombs. Coombs three-point shot. Off the rim. No good. And that's going to be, oh man, who's that on? Foul underneath.
Yeah,
it's going to be on Rice. Her third, so she has to come back out of the game as Emily Winter checks into the game for Rice. Team foul number 2 here in the third quarter. Third on Rice as she takes a seat with 5:46 left to go here in the third. Fisher with the basketball. Feeds it up top. Now to Rios. Over to Nelson. Now back to Fisher. Back up top, or Fisher at right wing. Guarded out there by Hutcherson. Drives towards the left baseline. Pulls up a dribble. Kicks it to Nelson. Nelson, another three-pointer. Wide open. Long. No good. O'Brien with the rebound. O'Brien comes out of there with it with vengeance. Watrick feeds it ahead to Hutcherson. Cross-court pass over to Winter. She passes on to 3. Indians just not comfortable from the outside tonight, Mike.
No, it's no confidence.
Up to Watrick. Watrick left wide open. Three-pointer by her off the rim. No good. Rebound, Rios. Shooting woes continue from the outside for the Indians. Myers with the basketball. Picked up by Watrick. Off to Fisher at left wing. Fisher bounce pass to Nelson. Nelson guarded by Coombs. Now back out to Rios. O'Brien backs off of her a little bit. She dribbles to her left now. Picks up her dribble. Kicks it back out to Nelson, who feeds it to Myers. 4:30 left to go here in the third. Same score, 14-9. Myers to Fisher, right wing. Back to Winter. Winter guarding her now. Turnover on St. John, gives it back to the Indians.
Let St. Paul take advantage of these opportunities on these turnovers now and make something happen. They've got to put some points on the board and make them pay for those.
So this is starting like the first quarter. Timeout, 30-second timeout. We'll go ahead and stay here. First quarter took a long time for anybody to get points on the board, Mike, and it's taking a long time here in the third.
That's right. Here we go again, halfway through the third quarter. No score yet in the second half. Looking back at the first quarter, it was 2-2 at the end of the first. And both teams came alive a little bit. St. Paul scored 12 in the second quarter. St. John scored 7. So that's how we ended up where we're at. And here we sit halfway through the third quarter. St. Paul still got a lead, but they need to put some points on the board and extend it.
Timeout brought to you by St. Paul Supermarket. St. Paul comes out of this timeout. It'll be their basketball as Coach Tuck instructs the girls as they settle in here. Hutcherson feeds it into Watrick. She's picked up out there by Myers. Gets past Myers, bumped, and that's going to be a block foul on Myers. Good job by Taylor Watrick. Being aggressive there with 4:10 left to go here in the third.
Second foul on Myers.
As Chrisman comes in for St. John Hudson. Watrick feeds it in the back to Hutcherson. Now back to Watrick and almost out of bounds. Now more aggressive man-to-man defense applied by St. John's now.
Yeah, a little change up here.
Feed over to Hutcherson at right wing. Rios rips the ball away from her. Jump ball. Turnover on the Indians. Indians are going to have to be aggressive against this man-to-man. Take the ball to the hoop and not be so complacent. They got a new look. I actually like St. John's going into the man-to-man.
Should play into St. Paul's strength.
Fisher with the basketball. As McCracken comes to the scorer's table. Off to Doran. Fisher, right wing. Off to Chrisman, now into Nelson. Nelson has it stripped around by Hutcherson, but it's out of bounds. 3:34 left to go here in the third. 14-9. Indians up by 5.
Hutcherson had 3 steals in the first half. Trying to work on that again here in the second.
Fisher set to put the ball in play for St. John Hudson. Here comes the back door to Nelson. Not there. Good job of Winter closing that out. Now Rios with the basketball, feeds it off to Fisher. Fisher with a couple ball fakes. She looks. Man-to-man defense applied by the Indians. Fisher drives towards left elbow, kicks it back to Doran. Now back to Fisher. Back out to Rios, wide open for the 3, but she doesn't shoot it. As the switch comes, now Rios all the way into the lane. Shot up, no good. Foul called, though. She's going to go line and shoot 2. And that's going to be on Emily Winter. Just picked up her 3rd foul. She just went back into the ball game with 3:11 left to go in the third. That brings Emily Hutcherson right back to scores table. First shot by Rios gets the roll as it started off the right-hand side of the rim.
First point of the second half for either team.
At the 3:11 mark, 14-10, 4-point lead as just one sub. Myers checks back in as Nelson was just talking to the coach. Rios with the basketball. Shot up on its way. She gets the roll again. She cuts the Indian lead back down to 3. 3:09 left to go in the third, 14-11. Indians up by 3. O'Brien, right wing with it, guarded out here by Myers. Now back into a zone is St. John Hudson. Back into that 3-2 zone that they've had luck with, keeping the Indians cold from the outside. Feed into Coombs and a steal as they try to feed it into that heart of that zone again. Myers with it, 3-point lead for the Indians, 14-11. Doran with the basketball, feeds it off to Fisher. Bounce pass inside to Nelson against Coons. Shot up, she can go line and shoot 2. So right back, here we go. 4 fouls to 1 as Nelson goes to the line to shoot 2.
First foul of the game on Katie Coombs. That's what they're going to do now is try to attack the basket, draw those fouls, spend as much time as they can on the free throw line. 4th
team foul on the Indians. Nelson's first shot on its way and gets the roll, and it goes. 14-12, 2-point lead for the Indians. Nelson settles in for her second. It's on its way and no good. O'Brien with the rebound. Feeds it back to Hutcherson. 2-point lead for the Indians. 2:31 left to go here in the third quarter. Back to O'Brien. Cross court down low to Coombs. Tapped out of bounds by St. John's. It'll stay with the Indians. Frustration starting to build for the Lady Indians here, Mike.
That's one thing they're going to have to avoid, too, is not to let themselves get frustrated. Just keep on playing.
Feed into the backcourt, into Watrick. Now to McCracken. McCracken up top to O'Brien. Into Coombs. Now Hutcherson at the top of the key. Reverses it to McCracken. Up top to Watrick. Sagging 3-2 zone. Now tough feed inside. Stolen away again. Fisher with the basketball. Watrick. And that's going to be a foul on Taylor Watrick. 15 foul on the Indians. 14-12. Indians up by 2 and yet to score here in this third quarter.
Yeah, second foul on Watrick.
Myers with the basketball. Feed into Doran. Back up top to Myers. 2-point lead for the Indians. 14-12. 1:49 left to go here in the third. Feed inside to Nelson. She traveled. Didn't get got the shot to go. She took an extra hop, looked to me like, and we're tied at 14. 5 points here in the third by St. John Hudson. None for the Indians. O'Brien off to Hutcherson. Feed to Coombs into traffic. Stolen away again. Rios with the basketball. Feeds it to Myers. 1:16 left to go here in the third quarter. It's been all St. John Hudson in this third quarter. Fisher now feed inside to Nelson. Feed back out to Rios. Ball fake, drives the baseline, spins, kicks it out to Nelson. Nelson drives the baseline, spins away. Feeds it back up top to Fisher. Less than a minute left to go in the third. 14-14, scores tied. Fisher crosses over, picks up her dribble, feeds it back up top to Myers. Less than a minute to go here in the third. We're tied at 14. Myers with the basketball, drives the baseline, and she's going to be bumped by Coombs on the floor. 16 foul on the Indians, 1 on St. John Hudson.
Yep. Things not going well here in the third quarter at all for St. Paul.
St. John Hudson basketball under their own rim, 14-14, 41.4 seconds left to go here in the third. Feed up top to Doran. She hands it back to Myers. 35 seconds left to go here in the third. Left wing over to Fisher. Fisher against Hutcherson. Next foul on the Indians will put St. John's in a 1-1. Rios and a steal by Hutcherson. Hutcherson, 19 seconds left to go in the third. Feed up top to McCracken. 14 seconds. Now O'Brien with the ball in her hand. Drive, Caitlin. Up top to Hutcherson. 7 seconds. Now into O'Brien. Now into Coombs. Coombs, shot good. Shot at the buzzer is no good. So the Indians get 2 points in that third quarter in the last 20 seconds of that third quarter. We got 8 minutes left. The Indians up by 2. We'll be back after this 1 minute timeout. You're St. Paul basketball on Hot 105.
Go, Sydney.
Welcome back. 1 quarter left. Indians lead by 2, 16-14. St. John's with 5 points in that quarter. The Indians just with 2. So Indians look to try to square things up here and get something going here in this fourth quarter. They have not played well at all, and especially in that third quarter. Way too many turnovers against this 3-2 zone. Rice, 3-point shot from the baseline. Off the rim, no good. O'Brien fights for it. Knocked out on her, so it goes back to St. John's. 7:44 left to go in the game, 16-14. Myers with the basketball. 16 fouls on the Indians, 1 on St. John Hudson. Nelson with the basketball against Coombs. Feeds it up top to Myers. She's guarded by Rice. Now to Fisher, 3-point shot by her, off, no good. Rebound, Dorian, put back, no good. Coombs with the rebound. Doran, not Dorian. 7:15 left to go here in the game, 16-14. The Indians up by 2. Rice with the basketball, up to Hutcherson. Feeds it over to O'Brien. O'Brien, no subs in that third quarter, as Winter has spent a lot of time. She has 3 fouls. Watrick off to Hutcherson at right wing. Indians being very patient here. Feed inside, a bad pass by Hutcherson, stolen by St. John's. 6:46 left to go in the game. 16-14, Indians up by 2.
Emily Winter getting ready to check back in for St. Paul.
Myers up to Nelson. Nelson, Myers at right wing. Guarded out there by Rice. And all the way to the rim she goes. Layup no good, but she's fouled. She's going to go line 2, and that's a 4th foul, I believe, on Rice.
That's on Katie Coombs.
Oh, excuse me, on Katie Coombs. That's going to be her second.
Her third.
Excuse me, her third. 17 foul on the Indians as that sends Myers to the line to shoot 2. First free throw is right through there and good. 16-15. Indians up by 1. as McCracken and Winter check into the game for Coombs and Hutcherson. Second shot on its way and right through there and good. We're tied at 16. Timeout, St. John Hudson. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout. You're listening to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Welcome back. 6:27 left to go in the ball game. Tied at 16. Timeout, St. John's. That timeout brought to you by St. Paul's Supermarket.
St. Paul got 6.5 minutes to get something going here and start making some things happen on offense.
McCracken feeds it into Watrick. Just 2 points in the last 8 minutes for the Indians. They're going to have to pick it up offensively or they're not going to win this ball game. O'Brien, they have every capability of winning this ball game, but they're going to have to settle in here and create something and make St. John's. Now 3-point shot by O'Brien off the rim, no good. Rebound St. John's. Rios with the basketball. McCracken picks her up. Myers now with it, top of the key. Feeds it off to Nelson. Nelson up top to Fisher. Fisher all the way in. That's going to be a charge, and it is as Caitlin O'Brien draws the charge.
Good job by Caitlin.
5:46 left to go in the game, 16-16. Just the second team foul in this half, and the second on Fisher. Rice with the basketball. Bounce pass over to Watrick. She stands out deep on the right wing. Feed up top to O'Brien. Now feed to Rice at left wing. Guarded by Rios. Now out to McCracken. Now feed over to Winter. And down to the baseline to Rice. She's wide open down there. Passes on to 3. Now she drives in towards the basket. Loses the basketball. St. John comes out there with it. Myers with it. Picked up out there by McCracken. She goes towards the rim. Shot up. No good. Rebound Doran. Put back good. As Hutcherson comes to the score table, St. John leads by 2 now, 18-16. Watrick out to McCracken, 3-point shot by her. Oh, off the rim, that looked good. Winter with a rebound, put back. Oh, good. Ooh, boy, that didn't look like it was going to go. As Winter ties the score at 18 with 4:47 left to go in the game. 30-second timeout. We'll be back after that 30-second timeout. You're to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Welcome back after that 30-second timeout brought to you St. Paul Supermarket. It is going to be St. Paul basketball, or no, it's going to be St. John basketball. That timeout called by Coach Tuck after Winter made the shot. Myers with the basketball. We're tied at 18, 4:45 left to go in this game. Myers against Hutcherson. Steal by Hutcherson. Now it's going to be a foul. That's going to be a foul on St. John's. And that's going to be on Myers as she picks up the third team foul for St. John's and third on her.
Third on Myers as well.
Good job by Hutcherson creating that turnover. Hustling to the basketball. 4:35 left to go in the game, 18-18. Hutcherson with the basketball. Feeds it up top to O'Brien. Now to McCracken. Back up top to Winter. It's the top of the key. Over to Watrick. Now feed inside to O'Brien. Now into Winter. Wide open. Oh, blocked from behind. Now tapped out there by Nelson. Now chased down. That should be, it's going to be a jump ball. Possession arrow goes towards St. John. Winner looked to be wide open under the basket, but had a block from behind. I couldn't catch a number, so good job by her blocking that from behind. 4 minutes left to go in this ball game. 18-18 is the score. Fisher with the basketball. Bounce pass inside, stolen by O'Brien. And they're going to call a jump ball, and that goes back to Indians as Coach Tuck trying to call a timeout. St. Paul basketball, 4:02 left to go in the game. St. Paul just with 4 points since the start of the second half in the second half of this ball game. Watrick over to Hutcherson. Hutcherson back up top to Watrick. Hutcherson cuts through the lane. Now it's almost a steal. Feed over to Hutcherson. Ball fake, drives the baseline, shot up. Ooh, rolls off the rim, no good. Doran with the rebound. Indians can't get the fall. Myers with the basketball for St. John's. And that's going to be a foul on Hutcherson, and that's going to send Myers the line shoot front end 1-1. 18 foul on the Indians. Second on Hutcherson. Myers goes the line to front end of a 1-1. We're tied at 18, 3:31 left to go in this game. Myers settles into the line. It's on its way. Off, no good. Watrick chases it down. 3:28 left to go in this ball game, tied at 18. Watrick down to the corner to Hutcherson. Now feed into Watrick. Ball fake back up top to O'Brien. O'Brien to McCracken. Down to the corner to Winter. Winter with a ball fake, feeds it back to O'Brien. She drives in towards the baseline. Shot up, good, but it's a charge.
They called a charge on it.
Good drive by O'Brien. Got the tough shot to go, but they drew a charge. With 3:10 left to go in the game, still tied at 18.
Yeah, it was a good, strong move, and, you know, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Just Caitlin's first foul of the game,
yeah.
19th foul, but player control. 19 fouls on the Lady Indians. Next foul puts St. John's in a double bonus the rest of the way. Fisher all the way into the lane, layup, no good. Winner with the rebound. She feeds it out to Hutcherson. Hutcherson feeds it to O'Brien at right wing. Now feed into Winter. Winter with the ball fake, drives past one, in, good. Good shot by Emily Winter. Gives the Indians a 2-point lead. 2:43 left to go in this game. Indians need a big stop here. Fisher with the basketball. Oh, she traveled off to Rios. Rios trying to make room, drives the baseline, tipped out of bounds. Turnover on St. John's. 2:33 left to go in the game. Indians lead by 2. Feed into O'Brien, back to Watrick. Just 3 team fouls on St. John's, so Indians need to try to get a big basket here, get a 2-possession lead. 2:25 left to go in the game. Indians are going to be just fine with holding this basketball up top of the 2-point lead, try to draw him out of that zone. O'Brien about to lose it. Now she picks up her dribble. Now she feeds it to Watrick. Tough pass. Feeds it back to O'Brien. 2 minutes left to go. 2:05 to be exact. Cross court over to McCracken. 3-point shot by McCracken. Off the rim, no good. Chased down by Rios for St. John's. 1:55 left to go. Rios with the basketball. 20-18. Indians up by 2. Back to Myers. Myers hands it off to Fisher. Fisher gets by Watrick. Kicks it out to Nelson. Nelson into the lane. Bumped hard. Charge on Fisher. On Nelson.
On Nelson, yeah.
Gives the ball back to the Indians with 1:39 left to go in the game.
Just Nelson's first foul, though.
Watrick with the basketball. Feeds it into O'Brien. 1:39 left to go in this ball game. Indians up by 2.
Indians need some points this possession.
Indians need the clock to run out, Mike. Watrick holds the basketball. Now they pull Myers out on her. St. John's can be aggressive here. Oh, that's a foul on Nelson. Second foul, and they know that they got to get closer to that 1-1 with 1:20 left to go in the game. Chrisman comes to the scores table for St. John's. That's as O'Brien sets to put the ball in play. Now St. John's into a man-to-man, feed into the backcourt, into Watrick. She holds it back to her, and Watrick loses it out of bounds. 1:17 left to go in the game. Indians up by 2, 20-18. Right back in the game comes Myers for St. John's. For Chrisman. Indians up by 2 with 1:17 left to go in this game. 19 fouls on the Indians, 5 on St. John's. Myers has to put the ball in play for St. John's. Counts on, tipped up in the air. Now steal by Hutcherson. She needs to slow down, and that's a reach. Holy cow. And that's out on St. John's. Man, I can't believe that wasn't a foul with 1:10 left to go right in front of us, Mike.
Yeah.
I hope you got the camera right on.
I hope I did too.
O'Brien with the basketball as Crispin checks right back in for St. John's. As the Indians stack up, O'Brien with the basketball. She looks, feeds it into Watrick. Watrick holds with Crispin coming up on her. 1:07 left to go in the game. Crossover, and there's a foul on Crispin. 16 foul on St. John's as Rice checks into the ball game for the Indians. As she checks in for McCracken. Looks to be a little shook up. As O'Brien set to put the ball in play. Feeds it into Hutcherson. Hutcherson all the way into the lane. Shot up, no good. But she's fouled. She'll go to the line to shoot 2. What an aggressive play by Emily Hutcherson with 1:03 left to go in the game with a 2-point lead. Hutcherson goes to the line to shoot 2. With a little over a minute left to go in this game. 7th team foul, so St. John's finally into the bonus.
Yeah, big free throws here for St. Paul.
Emily Hutcherson settles in at the line, the young sophomore. First free throw on its way. In and out, no good. As Myers checks right back into the game for St. John's. 1:03 left to go in the game. 2-point lead for the Indians. Hutcherson at the line to shoot her second free throw. It's on its way. Good. So she gives the Indians a 3-point lead. Now Fisher with the basketball. 1 minute left to go in this ball game. 58 seconds. Fisher hands it off to Myers. Myers to Nelson, left open out there. Now she dribbles off, kicks it back to Myers. They need to stay up on Nelson. She's a 3-point threat. Myers tipped out of bounds by Watrick. Good defense by her with 46.1 seconds left.
Down to the wire here. St. Paul got to play smart but aggressive.
As Myers set to put the ball in play for St. John's. Bounce past the baseline to Fisher. Looks inside to Nelson. Winner on her. Now feed inside to her. She traveled. Yes, travel, and it is called underneath. It goes right back to the Indians.
She's been doing that all day long, and that's finally the one that they called. So
3-point lead with the Indians. Now timeout, St. John's. St. Paul with a 3-point lead with 38.8 left to go in this game. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout. You're listening to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Welcome back here. We got a good one, 21-18. It has not been a good game at all by the Indians offensively, but they have a 3-point lead with 38.8 seconds left. That timeout brought to you by St. Paul's Supermarket. We're going to have a short post-game show because we have people meeting in the station right
get out
after
of the way.
us.
We'll have to get it quick.
Rice had to put it in play. Bounce pass into Hutcherson, and it's going to be a foul on St. John's. A tough pass in, and that's going to be send Hutcherson to the line, shoot to 1-1. 8th team foul on St. John's. As Hutcherson goes the line, shoot the front end of 1-1. Rice fed it into her. And that is going to be the second on Chrisman. Chrisman as Myers checks right back in for her. So Hutcherson at the line to shoot the 1-1 with 37.9 left to go in this game. Hutcherson's first shot in there. Good shot, Emily Hutcherson. Timeout, Coach Tuck. with 37.9 left. Full timeout. We'll be back after this 1 minute timeout. You're with St. Paul basketball on Hot 105. Welcome back. 22-18, Indians up by 4. St. Paul trying to make their way into the semifinals against the winner of Kensington Thunder Ridge and Rural Vista, the 3 and the 6 seed, coming up right after this game. Hutcherson's second free throw in there.
Big free throws by Emily Hutcherson.
5-point lead, 36 seconds left to go in the game. Fisher with the basketball. Don't foul. Fisher all the way to the lane. No good. Rebound, Winner. Winner holds the ball. Now Nelson comes up and hammers her. So she'll go to the line, shoot to 1-1. 19 fouls. Emily Winter goes to the line. Winter goes to the line to shoot to 1-1. Just still the 1-1.
That foul's
that's a 19 foul. Nelson's third with 27.6 seconds left to go. Winter to the line the first time today. Good, and she's going to be
across the line, I believe. Yep.
Emily Winter across the free throw line, so turnover. Gives it right back to the Indians as her toe must have been across the line as she made the free throw. They roll it ahead to Myers. She's guarded by Hutcherson, who hands it off to Fisher. 23 seconds. Out to Nelson, three-point shot. Short, no good. Wattrick with the rebound. She fights for it, dribbles out of there with it. Good job, Taylor Wattrick. 15 seconds left, and now Myers fouls her, and that's going to send Wattrick to the line to shoot 2. As that puts the Indians in the double bonus, as now there's a St. John player down on the floor. We'll have a short post-game show here, Mike. KW Trucking post-game show and our derail commodity player of the game. Boy, you got your work cut out for you on that one, Mike.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
And we'll give that to you quick. We'll just take a short break. As a matter of fact, we may roll right into the post-game.
Probably ought to do that because
we're going to have to get out of here. We've got people waiting, and there's 20 minutes. We'll try to be out here in the next 5 minutes. So tomorrow, hey, by the way, tomorrow night, if the Indians can come out of here with a win with a 5-point lead here with 13.2 left, they'll play tomorrow night at 6:30. Now, everybody on this live stream, you can pick us up on 105.5, or you can pick up the audio on hot1055.net if the Indians can come out here with a victory. Otherwise, the live stream will be hosted by Acacia. They have the rights. There's a different place that has the rights to the semifinal and the finals. So, second shot by Wattrick in there, good. 6-point lead for the Indians with 13 seconds left. Fisher crosses half court with the basketball all the way into the lane. Fouled by O'Brien with 9.6 seconds left to go in the ballgame. So the last thing you want to do in a ball game is stop the clock when you have the lead.
I think it's just instinct at some point, though, when they're driving the lane on you like that.
That's going to send Fisher to the line to shoot 2. That's the second foul on O'Brien as O'Brien tries to step in. Fisher seems to be banged up as she went in there hard. And that's going to send number 12 to the scores table for St. John Hudson. Her first time into the game. Ramirez, as Fisher has to come out of the game, so Ramirez is going to go to the line to shoot 2 free throws. Boy, that's a tough chore here, Mike.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure there.
Ramirez is a senior. Her first free throw off the back iron, no good. Indians lead 24-18, up by 6. 9.6 seconds left to go in the game. Second free throw by her. In there, good. 24-19. up by 5. Watrick with the ball, 8 seconds left. Pass ahead to O'Brien, and Watrick's going to be fouled with 5.7 left. 5-point lead for the Indians. So Watrick goes the line to shoot 2. With 5.7 seconds left to go in the game. We'll make Mike tally up stats first, and hopefully they'll run us a stat sheet pretty quick here.
Pretty quick, yeah.
As Watrick buries her first free throw as the Indians look to advance to the semifinal game. You get past this game, and it guarantees you 2 more games, either in the finals or for the 3rd place. But tomorrow night, it will be 6:30, Friday, March the 9th, Kensington against either Kensington or Rio Vista. Watrick buries her second free throw, 26-19. Under 6 seconds left. Myers with the basketball. Dribbles to her left. Now Nelson with it. And that's the ball game, folks. St. Paul advances to the semifinal game as they win 26-19 over St. John's Hudson. And a good game, Mike.
Yeah, good game by the Lady Indians. Pretty sloppy in the second half. Didn't score but 2 points, I think, in the whole 3rd quarter, so they really need to fix that. But overall, you come out of here with a win and advance. That's what it boils down to.
2 seed comes out ahead there. St. John's a good ball club. Indians, we're not going to want to see their shooting percentage at all. It is going to be poor, but this is what you call the gimme game. You got past it. You didn't play. You played poorly and got past it, so you advance. See what you can do in the semifinals tomorrow. Mike, you got any stats for us?
Yeah, I was looking through the stats real quick. I think I'm going to give Emily Hutcherson my derailed commodity player of the game. She was 3 of 4 from the free throw line, especially at the end of the game when it counted, gave St. Paul the lead. So Emily Hutch gets my derailed commodity player of the game. Going to go down and find the overall total numbers for St. Paul. Looks like in the points category, Caitlin O'Brien led St. Paul with 6 points. Emily Winter had 4. Katie Coombs with 2. Katie Carter with the 3-pointer in the first half was kept quiet in the second. Sydney Rice with 2. Emily Hutcherson had 6 on the night to tie Caitlin O'Brien. And Taylor Watrick with 3 points on the night for St. Paul. Overall, St. Paul, not a real good night shooting. They're going to have to do a lot better than that, especially as they move forward. Here in the state tournament, I got them at 32% from the field, 13% from outside the 3-point line, which is really where they're going to need to clean things up. They scored 6 of 10 from 2-point, 2 of 15 is all they shot from outside the 3-point line, 8 of 11 from the free throw line. In the turnover department, St. Paul had 15 turnovers compared to St. John's 13, so need to clean up the turnovers a little bit, but that defense really gave St. Paul some problems, I thought. So, but the good win for the Lady Indians, survive and advance. We'll be back tomorrow night, and that's good news for St. Paul.
Ugly win is a good win, Mike.
You betcha.
No matter
no
what it takes.
such thing as an ugly.
See if the Indians can shake off the first round jitters here. They'll go in and get cleaned up a little bit and undoubtedly sit down and watch a little bit of the second game because they will play the winner of Kensington and Rural Vista, the 3 and the 6 seed. Kensington and St. Paul both come in at 21 and 2, but St. Paul obviously must have won the coin toss to be the 2 seed. So we'll see. Good win for the Indians, coming out fighting hard in the last half of that 4th quarter. Did not play well, did not shoot well, had way too many turnovers. Their 3-point shooting percentage was pathetic, so we'll see if the Indians can clean that up. To join us tomorrow night, we'll call in about 5:45 tomorrow night, about 6:15 tomorrow night, as long as everything's on schedule. Thanks everybody for joining us on the live stream. And thanks everybody for joining us here as they bring us the stats here as we wrap things up, so we got to get out of here. But we'll kind of go over the stats for today's game after
we'll cover maybe
tomorrow night a little bit in the pregame if we can get in here quick enough. Thank everybody for joining us. You've been listening to St. Paul Lady Indians basketball as they come out victorious and move to the semifinals tomorrow at 6:30. You've been listening to St. Paul basketball on Hot 105.